Happy New Year, dear our esteemed viewers. Welcome back to this year's episode of the community show. On this day, 1st of January 2024, we are discussing New Year's perspectives. And congratulations to you all for making it to the new year. Tonight, we shall be looking into and projecting into the future. But before we project into this year 2024, I just want us to quickly first go ahead and understand our panelists for this new year who are joining us to help us unpack this conversation. So I'll begin with you, Mr. Bwambale. Bwambale, you're most welcome. Kindly say hello to our dear esteemed viewers so that they can get to know you, and then I'll get to the other subsequent panelists. You're most welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Drake Douglas. Happy New Year to the listeners, and I'm glad that you've successfully translated into this new year. You're most welcome, and we are here to share very wonderful perspectives on how we can move on smoothly in this wonderful year. And I'll be glad to give in some perspectives and move on. I'm called Binepe Lhwanzo Bwambale. I'm an M&E professional with public health training background. I'll be very glad to have wonderful discussions. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are and whatever time you're listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwambale. We're very happy to have you here. Let's listen in from Ankunda, Trassyleen. You're most welcome. Come and say hello to the viewers. All right, looks like Ankunda Trassyleen is experiencing some technical issues. In the meantime, I'd like to welcome Miss Kansime Mildred. Kindly come in and say hello to our dear esteemed viewers.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm Mildred Kansime. I work with Sepspel as a programs officer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mildred. We're very happy to have you here. So I'll begin with the only gentleman on the show. And maybe if Trassyleen gets back, I'll get to her quickly, and then we can have her go ahead and introduce herself. But for now, due to time limitations, shall begin the conversation. I'll start with the only gentleman on the show, Mr. Bwambale. Let us first have a quick reflection on the past year. 2023 had a lot of highs and lows, I must say. But as we begin this new year, for us to determine or predict the future, we need to first reflect on the past to help inform what is yet to come. So my question to you is, what were the significant events or trends of the year 2023 and how are they in this new year? Bwambale, over to you.
So much, Drake. That's wonderful. It's a great point to start from the past, and as we reflect on the past, it builds on the point, builds on the backdrop from which we can move on successfully. The last 1 year, wow, wonderful. From January to December, now we are in here. We've had a lot of stories, some exciting, some interesting. Some I would say were diplomatic issues, others issues that have affected us, including poverty, issues to do with bad roads, issues to do with infrastructure developments, hospitals and all that. But all these are issues that have happened across every other year. And as Ugandans, we are tending to get used to that perspective otherwise. But I think very importantly, what has really been so much important to us as Ugandans is the fact that towards the end of this year, I would say, many of the Ugandans were now trying to realize what me, in my terms, I would call national identity or our national interest, area of interest, which is a very key point that made the highlight for me this year, which was the anti-homosexuality bill. Of course, I know it's not a very good point to start on this discussion, but I think this is one of the things that marked a part of last year, 2020, this year that has just ended, 2023, and the discussions around it, from the World Bank cutting fundings to our parliamentarians coming together at one particular point in time. It was really exciting. Never before in the history of Uganda have we seen different groups of people, the opposition and the government, coming together to sit on the round table and agree on one particular point. We saw religious leaders, the Muslims, the Christians, the Anglicans, all of this come at one point to sit down and say, I think we need to handle this issue very, very critically. It's one of the key highlights that actually stood out for me in 2023. Now, I think this is a discussion that continues to move on, even with the current court issues that are on pending and all this. I think it's something that shaped 2023 and shaped most of our discourse and dialogues around our international relationships, our internal organizations and structures, how we value our culture, which is something that actually came out so much and I was excited about. That is one of the key areas that we need to reflect on as we move into this new year, 2024. What do we Ugandans perceive of the current bill? I know we still have the bill in court and it's having a lot of issues, but I think it forms a very good trajectory for us to move into this new year with a clear mind and clear perspective of where is our stance as a country. Because we see this is inevitably going to affect a lot of our areas. Talking about the economy, already we've seen a lot. Projects that were funded by World Bank, some of them already stopping, which impacted a lot on our communities. And I think if we do not take careful strides in this year, 2024, we may have a very tough year. But nevertheless, as Ugandans, we are always used to maneuvering over the situations and we shall get it well. Some other key aspects that really stood out this year were the issues of, the Uganda oil, the saga around it, compensations and all that. So this is another key area that I think shaped a lot of dialogue in the country for a very long time. And we were able to, as a country, make some strides, let's say. I'm pro the oil project. I would openly say that. And I believe we have taken very good strides towards making sure that we have a refinery established and the constructions of the airport that is going on. These are great achievements that we can talk about in 2023. Other factors that could have been beyond our management as a country, we saw the continuation of the war in Ukraine. Of course, it started the year before, but it went on and expanded. Uganda, even the price of toilet paper went high. I don't know how that was connected to the Ukraine war, but we had to suffer the consequences from the beginning of this year. Some of us face challenges with accessing basic needs and requirements, and the extent of poverty actually increased because of these external factors that we could not see. Other key highlights that happened in the country, the Mavati discourse, of course, we all know about the Mavati, and the discussion continues up to today. And we have not yet come to a conclusion on how far we have gone with that. We looked at issues to do with the current developments that happened just, I think, around November, as we're coming towards the end of the year. We saw okay, I don't want to refer to him as His Excellence, but one of our very prominent army men turned politician, that is the first son, come up to inspect the roads in Kampala. And actually we see now that we have a team of SFC finally deciding to work on our potholes. I think this has been a good development, and probably maybe we may have a little bit of less corruption in these processes. And this year, 2024, we expect to have less fish ponds in the city, better roads, and a nicer city to be in. So I think it has been a year mixed with ups and downs. We have a lot of positives that I've not talked about that happened in the year. But yes, of course, the positives will continue happening, but some few key areas need to be pointed out. Thank you so much, Drake. I think I'll continue with the discussion in later.
Thank you so much, Bwambale. Very key areas that you highlight that made for you highlights for you in the year 2023. You talk about the anti-homosexuality law, the cutting of funding by the World Bank, the ECO project, the construction of the expansion of the national airport, the Russia-Ukraine war, and the Mavati saga. Those are key highlights that stood out for you in the year 2023. Thank you very much, Ankunda, Trassyleen, and Daniel for joining us. I'll quickly get to you, all of both of you, to kindly share with us your reflections of the past year. But for now, let's first listen in from Kansime and Mildred. What were your highlights in the year 2023? What stories made for you headlines?
Thank you so much, Drake. The stories that made last year are: one, the economy of the country wasn't doing well. It was witnessed whereby most of the people were complaining there was little money in circulation, whereby the people were not able to do more of the purchases because there is little money in circulation. And that alone affected so many people. It affected so many people around. Some people were not able to get what they would have wanted to get. Yeah. Then another one, floods in the country due to the rain, the heavy rains that have continued up to December. Most parts of the country have been flooded, especially in Jinja, where the roads were cut off by water due to the poor drainage systems. And this affected transport so much. Transport so much, whereby the business community, the business people were not able to do most of their usual businesses because they couldn't easily cross the affected areas to do business. Thank you so much.
Much appreciated there, Mildred. For your area is on the focus on the economy, the poor progress on the economy, but then the aspects to do with floods due to the high amount of rainfall. Let's listen in from Trassyleen. Trassyleen, as you come on and introduce yourself, but also as we begin the conversation on New Year's perspectives, we first start by reflecting on the past to help inform and help us project on what the year 2024 will provide for us. So what are the key areas that events that made highlights for you in the year 2023? Trassyleen, you're welcome. Oh, looks like I've lost Trassyleen. Let's listen in from Daniel. Mr. Daniel Angulu, you're most welcome. As you introduce yourself, before, as we are having this conversation, would like to reflect on the past, on key stories that made highlights for you before we get into the conversation and projection of the year 2024. I'd like to hear your take. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think to everyone who's out there. My name is Daniel Angulu. I am a programs manager at Luigi Giussani Foundation. Basically, my take on 2023. 2023 has been quite a jump year, I would say. From people recovering back from the impact of COVID a couple of years ago into thinking that things are going to, start smooth sailing, but then we got a lot of hiccups here and there. One of the things that stood out for me was what someone earlier on talked about, the bill that I find somehow affected us in terms of employment opportunities, in terms of contracts here and there. It kind of reduced some chances for people out there who are maybe trying to look at the economy in a different way. I would say it brought us in the limelight. That kind of affected us in a way that to some people affected them negatively, because I saw some organizations end up closing and things like this. But also on the other side, the other thing I'm looking at is a lot of difference, especially in areas like climate change. And to me, as being one of the people who has worked in projects that deal with farming, I was also looking at it that it has affected the economy in the other way. The climate is changing drastically, and I think it needed or it needs adjustments in one way or another. How most of the people are not prepared for what comes up. I remember back in the days we could predict and know that we have two or three seasons when it comes to the rains. Now people can't tell. Tomorrow it's raining heavily, the next time it's very dry. So the instability has also caused a lot of negative impacts. Yeah, that is for 2023 for me. My take on 2024 is I'm trying to look at 2024, maybe people being a little more resilient, because 2023 has really taught us that sometimes we need to go a little bit harder and stronger on situations that we might actually be out of control. So maybe I would call for resilience in 2024, and also I would call for the saying that goes that the tough ones need to even stand more stronger for maybe what is yet to come. So that means we have to be prepared as early as possible, because I think according to me, I would think 2023, very many things that happened in 2023 caught people off guard a little bit. So that is my take on the 2023 and ushering ourselves into the new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll get back to you, but Trassyleen, I think you're now back. As a form of your introduction, but also as you get into the conversation, right now we are still making a reflection on stories that made highlights for you as a panelist on the conversation today in the year 2023 to help us move forward as we progress in the conversation. So what stories made highlights for you in the year 2023?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon once again. Trassyleen Ankunda is my name, and I'm very happy to be part of this conversation today. I had a few issues with my network, but apologies over that. I'm happy that at least now I can be able to say something. So the question you asked, I think most of the colleagues on the call already gave quite a number of them, and since we're in the same country, I don't think there really might be much of a big difference between what made highlights to me and what made highlights to them. But only that important to note is that in as much as we have the events that have made headlines, that have made highlights, we have events that have made highlights that we always do celebrate. We have those that are there. Some are there by statute, some are there because they were put. And so those, my question now is, how have they been able to make highlights if we have celebrated maybe say 16 days against gender-based violence? Has it been any different from how it was last year, or has it been more impactful from how it was last year? If we are talking about World AIDS Day, I think we heard of a story from, was it Mbara, of the increase in the number of the victims in that specific area. And also, if we are to look at maybe say aspects of human rights, which we celebrated also not so long ago. To me, I would say that yes, we have events, we have those that have made highlights, but because they have been there, and the question should be to me, have we made any progress in them, or is it the highlight last year? Is it the same highlight now? But also to add on, maybe we have those that you could choose to categorize them. Maybe you have those in the political sector, you have those in the religious sector, we have those in the social sector, economic sector. For example, if you're to look at maybe say culture sector, for example, the Kabaka, is it the Kabaka or the King of Busoga, the wedding, it also made highlights. So there are very many events that really have made highlights, but also important to note is that we continue to see, just like my brother said, the continued spirit of nationalism, the continued spirit of Africanism, the continued spirit of believing in us. Because do you believe me that, for example, if I'm to use the Soga royal wedding, I think it's something that really captured my mind, and I thought of, oh look, actually culture is this heavy, culture adds water, culture is this good, you know, in as much as I do not belong to that. So it helped us to appreciate diversity, to celebrate one another. To me, I felt like if all the other events we had actually had this sense of love and belonging, to me, I felt that that would be a very good Uganda that we would yearn to have. And then also maybe we have had the COP28 of recent, We've had the stories around the 600 delegates sent to Dubai. Was it worth it? Was it not worth it? What are they going to do? Are they actually representing us? And then also, we've had also the climate summit that was in Nairobi. How was it? Did we benefit? Were we represented? We've had quite a number of events on the space. We've had issues of politics, this and that. We've had issues of scandals. We've had battles in the entertainment industry. We've had quite a number of things in this year, and I must say that it's been very, very amazing. In as much as we don't rule out that maybe there are those that did not go right, but we still appreciate that at least a majority of them had something to add on us. Majority of them caused an impact. Majority of them changed their life and their soul out there. And so even when we say that the year is gone, you know, we cannot reverse back, we cannot change what we have not changed, but 2024 is here. Super excited. I just cannot wait. I feel like it's tomorrow, but I believe that it's really going to be an amazing one. It's going to be an insightful one. And I feel like there's a lot for us in that year. But of course, what I should note is that whether you have had the best of this year, whether you've not had the best of this year, moving ahead is actually very encouraging, and taking another step to, if it was not good, push on and keep the focus. Do not give up. 2024 is your year, and you can start now. I think, Drake, I can stop it there for now. I'll get back later. Thank you.
All right, Tracy, thank you. Allow me to cut you short then and bring in Bwambale to the conversation on the aspect of personal growth and resolutions. Usually when you start a new year, be it that it's the 1st of January 2024, you come up with resolutions for the year. So my question to you is, how do individuals or people approach setting New Year's resolutions? And what impact does this have on personal development? What does setting personal growth and resolutions have on individuals in every year? Bwambale, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, this is a topic that I think I'm not so much qualified to speak about, but I will, of course, share. From my experience, when the year is beginning, this is the point where the energy is at the highest level. Everyone is setting goals. Friends are posting on WhatsApp, my New Year resolution, this and that. And people approach it differently. There are those who actually do it proactively and very intentional. They go ahead and have these goals written down on paper and actually schedule them, as in schedule them by day, by weeks, by month, from the beginning to the end. And most of us, me inclusive, will talk about it, put it on my status, New Year resolutions, blah, 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 I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and that's where it ends. But as you ask the questions, how do different individuals approach this? People have really different ways and different methodologies of doing that. I have a friend who actually sets her goals based on the previous. She has a list of goals and ambitions and everything that she has to do in the year. And then when the year comes to an end, like towards December, she sits down and looks at what have I done and what have I not done. The things that are not accomplished are things that they push to the next year. And it's a fresh start. You start from where you stopped the previous year. And if you are taking some steps towards accomplishing some, you go ahead and include them in the next year. That's one approach that she uses, and it's a good example I'll share. Some of us, we have our goals in our heads, and we do not put it anywhere on paper. We carry them around. And these categories of people are actually different. There are those who have them in their heads, and they're able to achieve them. And then there are those who have them in their heads, and they keep shifting. They shift corners like Onana, if you have a football, if you like football, and of course, if you've been watching Onana, you know how he can shift from one angle to the other. One time he's playing against Manchester United, another time he's playing for it. So some other people are like that. Their goals are in their minds and keep changing from point to point. But what would the right thing be to do? What would one do to have a clear year and move on strategically? I think the best thing to do would be to actually have your resolutions well planned. And in planning this, you should make sure that they're in line with your resources, your capacity or capabilities, and your future projections. For example, I can't set a goal that in this year I want to build a house if I do not have a job. So your first priority would be maybe I should get a job first, then I can think about building a house. So the priorities should be set in a way that they are considerate of your your current resources, current assets, and future prospects. What do you see in the next few months? So these are some of the strategies that people could use. And there are very good books out there that can teach you how to arrange your priorities, set your goals, and all that. But all you have to check out from my communication is one that is key. Now, irrespective of whether you're going to write them down or not, you should have behind your mind your ambitions or your targets for that year. What do you want to achieve? For example, 2023 has ended. We are in 2024. Do you still have things that are holding you back? Cut them off. Do you have things that you want to achieve? Put them down, jot them on a piece of paper. Write them according to the list of priorities. Prioritize them, get out the most important ones, and go ahead and split the goals into smaller, simpler, doable actions. Writers have said in several books that if you want a task or a goal to be achieved, break it down into the smallest and simplest actions that you can do day by day. That makes it simple to do, but also it gradually builds into the bigger goal. And even if you do not achieve it, there are a lot of things along the way that you will have achieved. Case in point, when the year is beginning like this, a lot of us flock the gym. I don't know whether Drake you do that, but most of us have this body kind of goal that we want to go to the gym, build the body and all that. And gym operators will tell you January is the busiest month for them, because this is the time when everyone is having this target to build the body and make this. But people have big ambitions. Like someone will tell you, I want to make the perfect body in 2 months. You can't literally do that. But if you set your target that throughout the year, I'll go to the gym once in a day or twice, and I expect to have this perfect body after 12 months, and you make sure that every time that you schedule to go to the gym, you really do and go there. And in case you have any occurrences that are preventing you from, you reschedule to when it's more convenient. That would work out for you. So it's okay to write down your goals. It's okay to prioritize them. It's okay to break them down further and further. And that's an approach that I plan to adopt this year. And I hope a lot of you, the listeners today, are able to embark with me on this journey, and we are able to achieve some of the goals and objectives that we have for this year. As the previous speaker said, this year we have to hold it by, okay, let me use a polite word, by the horns. And we have to drag it and make sure that we achieve. As many people say, Uganda is a country of hustlers, so we need to get embarking on every target that we achieve, and set clear goals, set clear targets, and make sure that we achieve them. But most importantly, and lastly, is cut off your excess, because those ones will not help you in the new year. Keep them back and move on with new plans. Thank you so much, Drak. Back to you.
Thank you. Let's get to Mildred. Mildred, I'm going to focus, I would like you to focus the conversation on the aspect of the global outlook. You understand that the international scene greatly influences how we run the country, or how economically it affects us. And in your introduction, you talked about the year 2023, our economy being dragged behind and people experiencing a lot of economic hurdles. So the question to you is, how has the global landscape changed over the past year? What are the emerging trends that may influence the upcoming year? Are there possibilities that we shall see emerging trends that would influence our economy positively or negatively? Mildred, over to you.
Come again, you're breaking. The network is not clear.
I'm saying, I hope you can hear me. I'm saying, how has the global landscape changed and over the past years, and what are the emerging trends that may influence the upcoming year in terms of our economy? Could wars like the one that is happening in Russia, Ukraine, Palestine, Israel affect our economy the way it did in 2023? Let's get to you, Trassyleen. I'm just going to pass on the question that I've asked Mildred over to you on the aspect of the global outlook. And the question is, how has the global landscape changed over the past year, and what are the emerging trends that may influence this year, 2024? Trassyleen, over to you.
Okay, interesting question there, but I must say that the global influence is still here for quite some good time. In as much as we try to fix what we think is not right, in as much as we try to think this is what it should be, sometimes it will prove us otherwise, that it can actually be the other side. So I don't see really that we are going to have a 2024 where we do not have the influence. However much we could say maybe it could be limited, maybe there could be a reduction in it. Is it even going to be a reduction with the glowing and the evolution that we are having right now with these wars, countries deciding to back up? Where do I fall? Who do I support? Who do I join in? To me, that still puts something in front of our eyes. But however, I think also when you look at it in an African on an African base, you still see that Africans themselves are still trying. They're really doing their best to see that they make ends meet. They're really trying to say, no, you see, we can do this without you. In as much as the conditions somehow keep pulling them up to actually engage, to actually even find themselves in the same situation. They're saying, no, we can do away without this. So yes, I must say that I cannot lie that there's not going to be any influence. It is going to be there. However, how it comes in is how the politics play, how the events unfold, how different, because you realize that different people react differently in terms of the different really events that do happen. If maybe you're to look at how people react in regards to climate change, you hear some of them say, no, that's a Western idea. And someone, I remember of recent, I was somewhere in an engagement, and the youth leader said, no, they're not interested in climate change. We should not even be talking about it. We should let the major contributors be the ones to deal with it. And to me, really, it gave me this thing of what, are we really ready for this? If maybe we cannot even do, if maybe we think just because they have contributed this, yes, they've had the loss and damage, everything. But if you say, no, let's not talk about it, to me becomes dangerous. And so the different reactions of people in society contribute towards the different agendas that do come in. The different beliefs by the different presidents in societies, in the different continents, do contribute a lot to the influence of this global change in the influence. And of course, you cannot deal away with the fact that in the world we have class. Classism is still a thing. We have superior, we have those who are there, and so it still has really an impact on us. It still has something that it puts on us. We whether you say directly, whether you say indirectly, it is still there and it is felt. So I would say that yes, the influence is likely to be there, just like it has happened the previous years. I don't know if I really did actually respond to the entire question that you gave me. I got it when you are kind of talking to
No,
me.
you did. Thank you. It's been perfect. That has been a very wonderful response. And I'll just quickly bring in Daniel Angulu on the aspect of technology and innovation. We are in the 21st century, and we are what the young people call the fourth industrial revolution. And we realize now, come the year 2024, the internet penetration in our country is greatly entering deeper. So, Mr. Daniel, my question to you is, what technological advancements or innovations are anticipated to play a key role in the coming year in our country? We are seeing Kira EV is soon going to start rolling out their vehicles for sale, among others. So what other key innovations should we anticipate maybe in the coming year? Daniel, over to you.
Thank you. In this new year, I'm seeing a lot coming in at play, because, you know, I'm seeing new things coming in. Recently, I was seeing Facebook Meta company introducing the new AI goggles, and I'm like, okay, now things are about to change. I think advancement is taking place since new innovations are coming up, especially from this competitive generation that we are in right now. Everyone wants to show that I'm doing the best. Locally in the country, what I'm looking at is advancement in other areas as well. Agriculture has become more commercialized, and also the effects, since now people are aware of the effects of climate change, I am looking at the advancement in technology, especially in areas of production. I'm seeing a lot of changes there. When you visit the countryside these days, you see a lot of people are embracing things like irrigation. They're embracing other new avenues of technology when it comes to production, especially in agriculture, that used to actually be a little bit slower when it comes to technology. So to me, I think, yes, this new year is going to come in with more innovations. My only issue is if like in a country like Uganda, if the government is willing actually to support these innovative ideas that are coming up, especially from the young generation of today, I see everyone still embracing the same thing. Like if you look at the tech students in the institutions, they're actually doing a great job, but I think maybe support is not there as required. Recently, I was shocked that we even have a Ugandan version of WhatsApp by someone called Titus Mukisa, and yeah, I was actually impressed. So this shows how technology is growing, though the challenge now would be, if we look at these technological companies, you talked about Kira EV, I'm asking myself, is it entirely being embraced by us as a country? Because the economy also grows when we, the people, embrace it. You know, we have the mentality that the president is always complaining about us not supporting our very own. So sometimes innovative ideas come in, but we are not willing to support them because we think, okay, they might not be to the standards that we expect them to be. And then, you know, the technology comes in, but no support, and then all of a sudden it dies out. That's on the positive side. On the negative side also, I am looking at technology also being a way of killing what I would call the communal setup, especially in the African settings. I see lots of things are changing. When I look at the population today, everyone is stuck on their phones, everyone is stuck on their computers. But the question is, what are we exactly getting out of this? Because if you look around, you'll get to realize that roughly around 80% of the youth nowadays own gadgets, and some of these gadgets are connected to the internet. But I think we are also failing when it comes to that, in that we're actually using these kind of social media platforms and internet connections for other things that might not bring productivity. Someone was talking about goals, and sometimes we are setting goals, but it could be funny. I remember Mr. Bwambale talked about us setting goals, but then we only set them in our minds. So sometimes I think, okay, technology, we are only using, someone would go and update the status since we are into the new year now and say, okay, my new year resolutions are this and this and this, simply to gain likes and stuff like that. But the question is, now that you have put this, are you putting it into consideration to also say, I think, let me change how things work? Maybe let me get new ideas. There are online courses that people are studying. Maybe do I get to find out how my business idea would be easily approachable, maybe off the internet? Because I see most of the people not utilizing that opportunity, and instead they are just using the technology for other avenues that sometimes are not bringing productivity to them. So to me, I think, yeah, technology is going to advance. My only worry also on the other side is if the technology also advances to a more higher level, then we shall also have a downsizing, especially in the employment sector. You have seen the coming of AI in majorly in 2023, taking a wrong and heavy toll on people, because now managers are downsizing simply because they can sit down and do majority of the work. I've seen it in several places. I have colleagues who have maybe like kind of lost jobs, and some of them maybe their work time is reduced, and that would mean also the pay being reduced, because now the manager knows I can introduce an AI tool that does this and does that and does that. So reduces also on what we used to have originally as labor that comes from humans. Now we are having them being replaced by robots and AI controlled and apps. So yeah, to me, I think technology is growing, but also it has its positivity and at the same time having its negativity. The last thing I would say about the technological change and advancement in this new year, I only pray that it doesn't kill creativity, because I am seeing majority of the people being taken up so much into technology related aspects, and creativity is dying. So to me, I think, yeah, that could also have a negative toll on into this new year that we're entering in. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel. And on that point that it's killing creativity, I also then relate to the aspect that people are spending so much time on their gadgets and barely get time to do exercises. So then my question is going to be thrown back to Mildred on the aspect now on health and wellness. With ever-growing technology and people always hooked on their phones in this coming year, how can people be? How can people keep healthy? How can people be active to see that they at least increase on their lifespan and reduce on maybe toxic consumption of material that is harmful for their bodies? Mildred, over to you.
Yes, come again.
The question is in line of health and wellness. How can people in this year 2024 improve on their health and wellness in terms of engaging in in activities that increase their lifespan, like sports, keeping active, and not glued on their phones?
Okay. To keep healthy, first and foremost, the people should look at nutrition. Nutrition is so important. Let people not feed on poor meals like junk. Let me hope I'm answering right. Yes. Are you getting me?
Yes, we can. Proceed.
I'm breaking, I think. I'm not getting anything. My God.
We can hear you. Please, you just proceed. Bwambale back. Maybe if we get Mildred back, she would help us expound on health and wellness. But Bwambale, social and cultural shifts. In this ever-evolving society, we are seeing a shift in culture, in the social way we live among us. So are there any noticeable events? Are there any noticeable shifts in societal attitudes or cultural norms that may impact the way people approach the year 2024? Trassyleen, if you're there, let me forward to you this question in line of social and cultural shifts. My question to you is, we have seen that in the recent times, we have with the rise of technology, use of social media, there's been a shift in terms of how people relate among others. So the question to you is, are there noticeable shifts in societal attitudes or cultural norms that may impact the way people approach the year 2024?
I didn't get the last words well. Please do kindly.
The question is, are there any noticeable shifts in societal attitudes or cultural norms that may impact the way people approach the new year?
Oh yeah, well, yes, sure. One thing I must say that just like I said in my earlier introduction in regards to the Busoga royal wedding, it was really powerful, and I must say that culture seems not to have died. It seems to be taking shape again. One is that these cultures we live with actually do influence us on a daily basis. Most of us, they do influence us on a daily basis, just that we do not want to accept it, or we do not want to look at it as culture. Look, today I'm here, I'm a student in my final year. I finished school and
Yes, Drake, you can ask the question. I think I've gotten the network.
What are their totems? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'll get back to you, Mildred. Proceed, Trassyleen.
Okay, so like I was just saying, that culture each and every day really does influence us, and it is something that actually is so deep-rooted in our mind that when we try to go against it, we feel like we are going to be punished. It is really so amazing how someone can do something wrong and they will not think twice about it. But when it comes to culture, there's that natural control that really comes in your mind. You've grown up with this thing of they're telling you that one is your sister, do not marry them. And so it has really laid the roots. It has laid the roots. And so when we come to celebrations of the new year, when we come to the new year 2024, I still do say that there are a lot of attributes, there are a lot of contributions that culture really does contribute and give to society. One is, for example, it is culture that you realize that most of the times we do get time to meet as family. In this time, everyone is busy up and down, but most of the times we really get to meet. It's Christmas time, it's New Year's time. And so I know in my village for sure that we still do have the communal, we still do have the clan meetings, we still do have the family meetings where you do sit down and you agree that this is what we should do, this is not what we should do, or how far are we going. I know that some of the places, for example, in Bushenya I come from, the different clans, maybe if I may say, are different in a way that some are dominating and some are very few in that region. But that does not mean that they could not be in other districts. They could be. But look, in the little capacity that they are, each and everyone is proud and is feeling happy of where they belong. Each and everyone is feeling happy and proud of their roots. And so when they do this, they'll tell you, for us in our clan, we do not do that. For us in our thing, we do not do that. And for us, of course, we've had people who have gone against them and they have not died, surely they have lived. So when I talk about culture, I would really emphasize that culture in each and every space that we are in today does really influence a lot. Look, you wake up today and you put on a short dress. It's not that maybe the law says this first, no. It is not that maybe your conscience says, no, this is short, no. It is because culture has put it that, this is how you should dress, this is how long the dress should be. And so consciously, your mind is corrupted because you feel this is not how you should show up. So culture, even not at the end of the year, really has influenced us each and every day, each and every time, that we carry it along on our daily basis. In as much as we don't seem to, you just get used and feel like, no, that is how it should be, that is what God says, and so I should do as God says. But all those supernatural, all those natural things that really do come to us by sense of maybe reason, by sense of nature, by sense of things that really are there and in the space that you don't seem to really understand and get them, do contribute a lot to our society, and they do contribute a lot to each and every step that we make in society and community. So just like I said, those conversations, that's where you have visions of the different clans, that's where you have visions of the different families coming, that's where you have, because it like takes you back to the real you, it takes you back to the real setting of an African, it takes you back to understanding that this is exactly how it should be. When you leave your home and spend time without coming, they want to be like, that girl. But do you believe me, when you go back home, they're usually those conversations that you get, those stories that happened when you're not around. Those are the things that do motivate us. Those are the things that do sometimes influence our visions, because your grandfather, your great grandfather, who was the leader of this clan, who was the leader of this culture, has been able to make it or did great things. And so here I come, Tracy, and that's my inspiration. And that's the person I look up to. And that's the person I would really love to be like. And so sometimes, just like Bwambale said, sometimes the visions that we have, some of us don't write the vision. Some of us don't write what we want to achieve. But we know that in as much as this is this, each and every time, I need to keep on the focus. Am I better each and every day? That's my vision. Am I better each and every day? Am I adding a stone onto myself? But then I'm also adding a stone onto another person. That's me. That's my journey. And collectively, yes, I think that culture does influence a lot. Tradition, marriage, introduction. I cannot really mention it all, but for now, I think that's what I can say.
All right. Thank you very much, Trassyleen. Mildred, kindly confirm if you can hear me and you're back and you have stable internet.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Let's
Come again.
Yeah, my question now is going to be in line of adapting to change. How can this year 2024 adapt to change? Because the world is forever evolving and there's a lot happening. The world is moving at a fast rate. So how can people adapt to the change in this year 2024?
Yes, the people can adapt to change in the year 2024. One, people can set up goals. And I'm going to use a method we use. It's called the vision road journey. You have to know your vision, what you want to do in that particular year. Then look at where you are and where you were before. Reflect on that. Then get to know your challenge, the challenges you face and the weaknesses you have. Then you have to get solutions and work on the journey. You have to, what should I say? You have to understand the weaknesses, the strengths. Then you walk the vision. That's what I can say.
Thank you. That has been precise but straight to the point and very, very interesting. We're almost reaching the end of our conversation, but I wouldn't love it for us to reach towards that end without talking about environmental considerations. And this is going to go to Daniel, who early on hinted on climate change. You know that we are now facing the adverse effects of climate change, and Africa, Uganda is among the hardest hit countries. So coming in this year 2024, how can we mitigate, how can we adapt to climate change? Daniel?
Yes, Drake, thank you so much. I like the fact that you brought in a question that actually is in line with some of the things I do under one of my projects. It's one of the most important things I think we need to look at the moment. Climate change is really affecting us, and I think there is a lot that we need to do in terms of mindset change, number one, and also trying to support those that are already advocates and those that are already fighting hard to see that we find solutions to all these problems that are creating dangers to our environment. At the moment, I am looking at some of the mitigation measures that we need to look at is, first of all, engaging the community people in lines to fight against climate disasters. What do I mean? If you move around Kampala and look at the drainage systems, I think we have a poor mindset of dumping some of these products or items that actually are very degrading to the environment, like water bottles and all that. So you find that sometimes we really need advocacy in that area, advocacy where we need to really bring out the light to the people on the dangers of this, because for them they are looking at it as a short solution, but in the end, it becomes an effect. I remember when I was growing up in Kampala back in the days, KCCA used to have rubbish disposal positions in different locations. Over time, I got to realize that they kind of changed, and they introduced in the other avenue of once in a while coming to pick rubbish from certain locations. And that would mean that if certain people miss out on this, the only solution they have is to dump rubbish anywhere as long as they're not being seen. And this already creates a problem. So the other thing I think also is, yes, I know we are so much into support of growth and development, of urbanization, but the question is, are we also still preserving the natural vegetation that exists? Because I see people buying chunks and chunks of land and turning them into estates. The only problem is, yes, you are dividing them into estates for people, for residential areas, for settlement, and then you are doing away with the forest, with the natural vegetation that exists, and this also has a negative impact on our climate itself. So some of the things I am looking at is, first of all, if we would all embrace a very simple thing like planting of trees. This is a very, very strong move when it comes to battling climate disasters and bringing about what we call climate change. Because at the moment, first of all, most of us are only looking at putting the trees down. I happen to be working in one of the projects that runs in the settlement in West Nile, and you find that when the refugees are provided with food, they also need other avenues of earning some little bit of income into their pockets. And what do they resort to? They resort to the destruction of the natural resources. Remember, there's already a population influx in the places where they are placed. And now the other small minor resources that are left, they have to compete with them, with the nationals. So what does this lead us into? This leads us into things like deforestation, and at the end of the day, still worsening the issue on climate change. So me, I would love it if tomorrow, in this new year, we look at how am I going to be an advocate for climate change? How am I fighting so hard to see to it that tomorrow we can still survive and we do not destroy Mother Earth to a level that Mother Earth starts reacting badly. We have seen the floods that are coming in. It's simply sometimes also because we decide to settle in areas that were not originally supposed to be for settlement, but simply because we just want to create urbanization. So we try to divert all these water channels. We try to, create settlements in areas that were originally gazetted for other things. And at the end of the day, the drastic effect of climate change is felt by us. Then the last one is, I think to me, I know we all love to grow as individuals, but at the same time, a country like Uganda right now is growing at a very fast pace, and sometimes maintenance becomes easy. Every young person is admiring to own a vehicle, to own a car, whatever car it is. But you find that at the same time, it also increases on the levels of pollution, because anyone would buy any car, whether it is in good condition or bad condition. You find one home has 7 cars that move up whenever it rains. So all these are emission of toxic gases into the air. So at the end of the day, are we really trying to help on climate change, to improve the climate, or we are worsening the climate? So to me, I would think if we try to look at other avenues, even embracing technology that deals less. When we look at in other countries, they are now trying to go green and do smart, embrace smart technology by introducing electric cars and things like this to at least reduce on the gas emission. Something I would pray that in this new year, if the government would also take up, it would be such a great idea. You talked about the Kira EV. If it was boosted to an extent that we can access some of these at a cheaper, reduced cost, I would be so excited to see change, because it would not only be a slight change, but it will be a bigger change in the long run. Thank you so much, Greg.
All right, thank you. We have reached towards the top of the hour. Bwambale, thanks for coming back again. I know that the network is a bit shaky, but let me again start with you, Bwambale, as we end the show. Kindly give us your concluding remarks and recommendations for this year in 60 seconds.
Okay, thank you so much, Drake. As we come to this conclusion, I'm glad to have been part of this discussion. And it has actually been a reflection of the year, how it has been. In sharing knowledge, we tend to look back into our own selves and discover what we've been able to achieve, what has been the weaknesses, the challenges, and we can be able to build on a better future. So I'm glad to have shared this session with the team, but also to our audience. I'm very happy that you've taken time to pay in attention to this conversation up to this time. I hope you pick one or two. The lessons learned from the past are very important in shaping our future as we move forward. The last year has had its ups and downs. We've had some challenging moments as a country. We faced hardships in terms of economy, as was earlier on stated, but also we got into a lot of situations that tested us. I know this could have been at national level, but also at the individual level. My plea to everyone who is listening and to those that may listen in at later time is that every new year, it's a year that begins with new challenges, new goals, new dreams, and also new ventures that we can get into. As a Ugandan, as a young person, I know it's very important that we focus on the positive. It's very important that we focus on looking forward and make sure that we embrace all the changes and all the tools that come along our way. My friend, Mr. Daniel, has just talked about AI and its impact. Of course, he has raised a lot of some of the downsides, but I believe there's a lot of positive sides on this. And if we can embrace it, we can move far. Recently, I watched on TV, a lot of graduates have been I don't want to use the word poor because it may sound rude, but a lot of graduates have now dropped into the market. How can we now leverage the opportunities that we have with AI, with technology, to make sure that we're able to create more jobs rather than look for the existing ones? I know a lot of young people who are making money from online transactions, things to do with drop shipping. These are opportunities that we can venture into. AI is a field of study itself. If, for example, you have a degree that you've gotten this year and you want to upgrade, AI is an area that you could venture in, upgrade and learn more, see how we could use the tools to improve on our health system, improve on our infrastructure, so that we have a future that is bright as a whole. I believe Uganda, we have the capacity to catapult our growth. In few years, by 2030, we should be moving out of the state, out of the poverty. So this year should be a year that marks.
All right. Thank you very much, Bwambale Binepe, for your time. Let's listen in from Trassyleen and Ankunda. In 30 seconds, your concluding remarks and recommendations. Trassyleen, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Drake, for having us on the call, and thank you, my dear panelists, as well, for the insightful discussion that you've had and given us. Maybe these are things that we've talked about each and every day, but I just pray in this new year, we all check our inner hearts, we all check our inner souls, and we all work towards being the best. That's all I can say, and may this year be the best for all of you. Thank you also for having us and inviting us to talk about issues that really are pertinent in this country. Thank you, Drake.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Trassyleen. Let's listen in from Mildred. Mildred, your concluding remarks. Then we can conclude with Daniel. Daniel, your concluding remarks in 30 seconds.
Thank you so much, Drake. My message to everyone out there in this new year is let's take this new year as a new chapter. Whatever didn't go well in 2023, let us ask ourselves how or what made it not go well. And let us learn a few things. And one of the greatest lessons I would want everyone to always have jumping into a new year is always to be resilient. It might have not gone well as you had planned for 2023. The new year comes like a new lap when it comes to a race. It is that new lap that you can use as an opportunity to catapult or throw yourself up in front of the race. So for me is look at the targets you have now for that didn't go so well. Try to polish and adjust and see how best can I achieve it into the next year, because sometimes maybe the things that, you know, what we call unavoidable circumstances that sometimes affect us in one way or another. Let us not be discouraged by saying, you know, I gave it my all, but then it didn't go through. Let us now say, this is a new chapter. Let me try again and see where it will lead me. And that is it from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you all our dear panelists. I really appreciate the time you've taken to come and be with us in this 1st of January to discuss this. Otherwise, Ankunda, Trassyleen, Binepe, Bwambale, Daniel, Angulu, and Kansime, Mildred, thanks for taking time to join us in this conversation. I'd like to wish all of you a happy new year, a prosperous one. And to you, our dear viewers from Civic Space TV and Center for Constitutional Governance, would like to wish you a happy and prosperous new year. My name is Douglas Onen. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.